The Centurion Project. Written by the 8th Day of Night. Chapter 49. A Canterlot Wedding. Section 2, Part 1. Elias groaned as Luna balanced on his shoulders, staring hard at his blue bow tie. She frowned hard at the tie, and her hose barely moved as she tried to make it perfectly straight. Elias had thought it straight half an hour ago when he had put it on, but apparently it was not enough for the blue alicorn, and as soon as she had seen him, she had started fiddling with it. The end of the week had gone well in his eyes. It had taken some convincing on his part, but Elias managed to talk Celestia into officially releasing Snowball back to him. He believed that the alicorn had only put up a fight for appearance's sake, but the simple truth was that she was looking for any solution, no matter how radical, to solve the changeling issue. The royal guards could only do so much, and with Snowball at their side, sniffing out spies would be a great deal easier. Elias wasn't the only one who knew how close of a call they had, and the unspoken resentment between himself and Celestia was in the open air. They both acted civil, but after a few conversations with Snowball, Elias had learned that changelings couldn't create new thoughts or emotions, only exaggerate or downplay existing ones. It meant that Celestia didn't trust him. Why, he didn't know, but she considered him an outsider and a threat. It mystified him as to why she continued keeping him on as general, especially with the further rift caused by his position on the use of the elements. Though she had taken his advice, she was anything but happy about leaving them behind. Either way, they played nice, and Elias made sure things flowed smoothly in preparation for his short break. Midnight Chaser was especially grateful that Elias had sniffed out the rat in the Royal Guard, and he had decided that his method of paying Elias back was to make sure training was conducted exactly as Elias would conduct it. The Pegasus had even surprised him by personally whipping a legionnaire whose mess-up had put 3 others into the infirmary. The sight of Chaser using a whip put Elias' mind at ease, and when the time came to put down his work, Elias had done it with little hesitation. Mostly. Snowball sat on Elias' bed, watching Luna mess with his tie. The Loveling had been welcomed back to the Legion with mixed results. Some hated him simply for being a spy, but more than a few ponies gave him a second chance, quickly realizing that the pony he had been disguised as wasn't altogether gone. Snowball acted the same, resolving problems, smiling and laughing often. Though there was a small initial wave of suspicion, the white bug pony quickly found himself surrounded by friends once more, and he couldn't have been happier than when he was in the Legion. Elias's other task had made Snowball quite happy as well. Before he had been discovered, Snowball had to steal scraps of love from those around him for food, but Elias had given him an easy food solution. When Snowball visited, he was always welcome, especially after the events of his first visit, and when one of them couldn't sleep, usually Elias, they would sit up and socialize like normal ponies did. It was a breath of fresh air, and though Elias had allowed the Loveling the closeness because they weren't friends, Elias found himself silently approaching the bug pony more and more. The human glanced at the Loveling. "Did you have anything else to report?" Snowball shook his head.
"No, General. General Shattershield Shield is completely unaware of my infiltration, and I believe he is my best shot at staying hidden in the Solar Guard. I start my official work as his assistant tomorrow."
Elias nodded and slipped his watch from his belt. He waved his free hand as he clicked open. "Dismissed, then," Elias said. "I expect a full report by Monday." He glanced at Luna. "As for you, we're going to be late at this rate," he noted.
"Give me a moment, Elias. I can get this right. It is only a degree off angle."
Elias rolled his eyes and waited silently as Luna poked at the tie. Things had got better than okay with Luna in the past few days. Though they hadn't officially scheduled anything, Elias felt like he saw her everywhere. After their early morning run, she greeted him with a frigid canteen of water and an invitation to lunch. Elias had happily accepted, and though it was a short meal, Elias couldn't help but to smile walking away from it. She had pulled the same trick when they got back from the afternoon march, and again, Elias had accepted. The blue alicorn was simply intoxicating to be around, and Elias found that he couldn't tell her no. She always asked, and that's what got him. She met him with a smile, allowed him to drink his fill, then posed the question. He knew she would be disappointed if he said no, but he also knew that she would accept such an answer with no stipulations. He always said yes anyway. He had to be near her, had to hear her beautiful laughs and snorts when he made a bad joke. He was so glad he had agreed to go with her to the wedding, or rather, he would be if she would quit messing with his tie. Elias's eyes flicked down to meet Luna's. Princess, respectfully, leave the tie alone. It's fine. I'm not the focus of today, and as of note, you aren't even dressed yet. Luna snorted and waved a hoof.
Oh, please. It takes me a moment to dress. I have an entire staff specifically for it, in fact.
She clicked her tongue at him.
You, on the other hoof, need all the help you can get. Now let me get this straight.
Elias grabbed her hooves and looked her square in the eyes. Princess, you need to let it go. My tie is as good as it's going to get. She sighed and shook her head.
I disagree, but I do need to get ready eventually. Come, I shall dress on my way to my carriage.
She led the way out of the room, humming as they walked through the halls. With each corridor they passed, another pony would simply appear, and Luna would turn to them, letting them apply a spot of makeup or apply a pin to her starry mane. By the time they got to the castle gates, a small herd had formed behind them. Luna turned and smiled at them.
Thank you all,
she said loudly, raising her hoof into the air.
You have made your princess look quite beautiful, and I appreciate the work you've done this night. Rest. Take the weekend as a token of my thanks. I insist.
They let out a reserved cheer, then departed, chattering lightly amongst themselves. Luna smiled at Elias as they climbed into the large, ornate carriage with a pair of disguised royal guards strapped in the front. Luna sat the opposite of Elias, and as soon as their rump hit the seat, she began rifling through her saddlebags. Her dress quickly emerged and she threw it to Elias, who managed to catch it and keep it on its hanger. Luna scowled as she continued digging through her bags.
Where is it?
She grumbled.
I left it in here, but where could it have gone?
She stuck her head into one of the saddlebags, disappearing up to the neck. Elias mused over the fact that such casual magic had no effect on him anymore. Not a year before, he had been living in a world of sane human annihilation. Now he lived in a mostly peaceful pony world, with magic everywhere. And he was in love with a princess. A princess who, he was hoped, loved him back. Elias distracted himself from the dark thoughts of rejection by chuckling at Luna as her saddlebag slipped over her shoulders. Need a hand, princess? He heard a muffled huff, and then her head shot out of the bag and she grinned at him.
Got it,
she exclaimed after spitting a silver ring out of her mouth. She wiped it off at the seat, then slid it over her hoof. Elias watched as the large blue alicorn before him turned into a normal-sized Pegasus. Luna flapped her wings and wiggled in her seat, then spun in a circle and sat back down before Elias. She smiled up at him.
Well, Elias, how do I look?
Elias blinked at her stupidly, and when her face began to turn at his silence, he blurted the first thing that came to his mind. Smaller. It didn't help. Luna frowned at him.
Really?
She asked.
That's it? Smaller?
Elias blushed and looked away. Sorry, you look different.
Different? How?
She growled softly. Elias took a deep breath and looked at her. He scanned her body from top to bottom, starting with her mane. It was no longer a flowing starscape, but rather a simple blue that just barely made it to her neckline. Her brilliant green eyes were almost the exact same, and had a small silver dot surrounding them, making them truly pop. Elias had to mentally force himself to move on from her stunning eyes. There was more than a little risk that if he started staring, he'd never stop. Moving downward, Luna's muzzle was curled in a frown, but upon closer inspection, it was much more of an adorable pout. Her blue lips seemed incredibly soft, holding only the slightest tint of lipstick. It was enough to make them stand out, but not enough to make them seem garish. Elias continued, quickly finding Luna's chest fluff. Though she was smaller, her fluff looked like it was the same size, and Elias almost reached out to pet it. Even he knew that would have been a mistake, so he pressed on. Like he had noticed, she was much smaller, and her body had a different build to it. As an alicorn, her legs were a bit longer, ending in a thicker torso, particularly around her hips and chest. As a Pegasus, however, Luna was better rounded out, and her fluff seemed to poke out more. The alicorn was stunningly beautiful. and while the Pegasus was much more cute and adorable while retaining her prettiness. Elias quickly realized that he was staring. He looked away and coughed as another blush consumed his face. You look nice, Elias said weakly. Luna huffed and crossed her hooves. Her increased pout made her look even more huggable, and her mane falling in her face didn't help.
That was not the answer I was hoping for, Elias.
Elias shrugged and smiled at her. I don't know what to say, Princess. You're beautiful as an alicorn, but not as an insult. Being a Pegasus makes you adorable. If we were in this situation 6 months ago, you would have never have made it to the wedding. I'd be too busy hugging all that cute little pony fluff. Luna blushed and pouted harder.
I'm not cute,
she grumbled. He couldn't tell if he had genuinely insulted her or not. Leaning forward, he stroked her between the ears and her pout vanished. She purred and leaned into his hand, causing Elias to smile. Sorry, Princess, but you are very cute. Maybe once you're dressed, that'll change. But right now, cute as a button. Luna snorted, but she smiled at him.
Fine, Elias. I will grant you that, but only if you refer to me by my disguised name from now on.
She reached into her saddlebags and drew a piece of paper.
Which tonight is Night Sky.
Elias chuckled. Had to go with the night theme, huh? Luna swung at him, but with her shorter hooves, he was able to dodge her easily. The Pegasus huffed and pouted as Elias grinned at her. She turned her nose up.
Perhaps I did, but it is my expertise.
She passed the paper she was reading off to Elias as he passed her the dress.
I am Night Sky,
she said again.
I am an astrologist who is working out of the Canterlot Observatory for the year. We met in the castle gardens one evening, and you decided to ask me to be your date to the wedding.
Elias frowned at her persona sheet, then looked to Luna as he began fiddling with her dress's zipper. I hate to criticize what I could imagine wasn't an easy cover story to think up, but don't you mean an astronomer? Luna stopped with her teeth around the zipper and gave him a quizzical look.
Nay,
she said as she pulled it slowly down.
Astrologist, studier of the stars.
Elias shook his head. Not quite, Princess.
Night Sky,
she cut in. Night sky, Elias corrected. But either way, astronomy is the study of the stars and other planetary bodies. Astrology is a human thing about non-existent messages in the stars. Equestria has no such concept about your stars, and they are a bit more fluid and changing. I know. I checked. Night Sky cocked her head.
And why were you studying up on the stars, Elias? I didn't think it was within your range of interests.
Elias coughed and glanced away, scratching at his nose. Because I wanted to be able to carry a conversation on one of your key interests with you, he thought. Curiosity, he replied. You always need to shake up the subject of research, otherwise you aren't really thinking. Only studying one topic makes your mind go stale. Nice Guy seemed to see right through his lie, and she blushed faintly as she went back to unzipping her dress.
Well, my thanks then, Elias. I would have confused many ponies with that mistake. An astronomer I shall be.
Nice Guy flipped her mane so that it fell over her face and grinned at him, making Elias blush harder. The Pegasus noticed and she giggled.
No need for feeling abashed, Elias. You have helped me into a dress before. Come now, chop chop. We will be there any moment, and I'd rather be dressed.
Elias sighed and reached over, easily unzipping the dress with his fingers. Nice Guy turned around with Elias's help, and she easily slid into her dress. She held her mane away from her neck, allowing Elias to zip it without an issue. Night Sky gave him a wink as she spun around and sat back on her seat. She withdrew a pair of bows from her saddlebags and began to trying one around her tail and hooves.
So, Elias, tell me honestly, are you looking forward to tonight, or are you doing this because you know it will make every pony happy?
Elias shrugged. A bit of both. The more I deal with other generals, the more I find that still needs done. I need every minute to be productive if we hope to survive the march intact. I don't mean this as an insult. The ponies are just generally soft. Nice Guy raised an eyebrow, but didn't meet his eyes as she tied off the silver bow on her tail.
I'd like some clarification on that statement, because if I do recall, you've been nearly killed by ponies on several occasions.
Eli shrugged again. Man, I'm not talking about individuals. Every species has their standout members after all. Ponies as a whole are just soft, underprepared. I would think that you and your sister would understand how dangerous war is, but no offense, you seem a bit too calm about the march to Saddle Arabia. It unnerves me. Nice Guy frowned and looked up from her bow.
What would make you believe that we are taking this seriously?
She asked. Elias flinched at her flat tone and opened his mouth to offer an apology, but Night Sky raised a hoof.
I am not angry, or even offended. I merely wish for you to tell me honestly what you believe we should be doing. I do not like seeing you stressed, and if a moment of complete seriousness and discussion is what we need to alleviate your fears, then so be it. We still have a minute or two until we arrive at the wedding parlor.
Elias slouched in his seat. I don't know what else we should be doing, he said with a sigh. Maybe it's the other generals. Maybe I just don't trust traditional equestrian guard training. I don't know. I just have this nasty feeling that something is going to go wrong. He snored and stared at the floor. Nice Guy reached out and rubbed his knee gently.
Speak what is on your mind,
he said softly. Elias continued staring for a moment, trying to find answers in the darkness of the floorboards, but that gave him nothing. Instead, he looked up the midnight sky's beautiful green eyes. The illusion did nothing to change them, nor diminish the shine Elias always saw in them. Those perfect eyes forced him to speak, and so he did. I'm scared, Elias said softly. I'm scared that I have risked far too much, and I'm scared that I am making mistakes. I don't know what's right and wrong, and I think this is the first time in my life that has ever been the case. I'm used to everything being clear, easy to judge and make hard calls, but now, I'm afraid that I've gotten lucky until now, and with everything I've built back, I'm just gearing up to lose it all again. Night Sky sighed and slipped from her seat. Elias scooted over as she hopped over on his side and leaned against him.
I'm afraid simple words cannot remedy such worries, Elias,
She said quietly.
What I can offer is tonight. It may be a tall order, but do not think yourself as a general today. Just enjoy yourself. Flow through the wedding like you would have before all of our preparations. Relax tonight. Then tomorrow, we shall sit down with General Chaser and General Nightshade and truly discuss what still needs to be done.
She lightly nuzzled his shoulder.
With your auditor at your side once more, we shall make a thorough, in-depth plan to make sure things go without a hitch. Plans within plans, Elias. Together we can ensure absolute preparedness and hopefully ease some of your fears.
He met his eyes and smiled.
And if it makes you feel any better, I trust your judgment. You have done so much to ensure the success of our march, and you have done so without fear.
She chuckled and rested her head on his shoulder. Elias resisted the urge to stroke her much shorter mane.
Not many ponies would argue with two princesses at the same time, and while my sister was not happy, your words convinced her to your point. If you can convince an alicorn that has ruled for a millennium to change her mind, then you are truly right of cause. I believe in you, Elias, and I thank you for sparing her the pain you suffer.
Being a witness to pain can almost be as bad as experiencing it, Elias replied. I'm just trying to shelter you all as much as possible. I don't understand why everything is a battle, though. I have the experiences. I've seen what war is. Why can't your sister trust me? Nice Guy sighed and nuzzled his neck.
It is her own fear of failure. We all fear something, Elias, and she has gotten quite used to getting her way, largely because she is level-headed and of sound judgment. It is hard for her to be questioned as it is for you to be confused. Neither of you like it, and both fight hard to prevent it from happening. Perhaps when we are done with this march business, you two will connect further. You are more similar than I think you realize.
Elias snorted in mock disgust. Don't say that. I look terrible with a gold crown. Too gaudy. Night Sky slapped his chest.
Hush you. That was a gift from the original pony tribes. Princess Platinum herself helped to craft it.
Lovely. Elias replied with a small grin. That makes it almost as ancient as you. Night Sky let a mock outrage filter across her face, and her hips wiggled aggressively just before she pounced at him. Elias let her grab hold, and she smacked the back of his head. The Pegasus shot him a glare as she nuzzled his chest.
I am not old,
she said.
I am merely long-lived.
Elias smiled and gave in to his instincts, running his hands through her mane. He worked his way up, ending at her ears, and when he scratched softly, Night Sky sighed happily and closed her eyes.
So nice,
she groaned. Elias snorted and continued scratching as that carriage began to slow to a halt. He made no effort to alert Night Sky to the fact that they had arrived at their destination, and only when the guards opened the carriage doors did she seem to realize that they were no longer in motion. She blinked at the pair of ponies as Elias continued scratching her ears. She blushed hard and sat up, wiggling free of Elias's hand so that she could exit the carriage. The guards exchanged a glance, and Elias caught a small glare from each as Night Sky stepped free of the carriage. Elias quickly followed, only to be stopped short of leaving. The guards continued glaring at him silently for a moment, until Night Sky cleared her throat, drawing their attention with a brilliant smile.
While I appreciate the gesture, the last person I need protecting from is my date. Please let Elias join me so that we can enjoy our night.
The guards exchanged another glance, then shot a third glare at Elias before relenting. They stood back, allowing him to exit the carriage. Night Sky's smile widened, and she quickly pinned herself to his side.
Thank you, gentle colts. We shall see you in a few hours.
They both gave her quick bows and went back to glaring at Elias as he and Night Sky walked towards the parlor entrance. The human cast an eye back, a small frown on his face as he watched the guards strap themselves back in to drag the carriage away. A very nice, calm chapter, especially considering last chapter's whole, this is the perfect definition of PTSD that we just had. But this was a really sweet thing. I don't know. I absolutely love Elias and Luna's just chemistry together. It's so adorable. What else is adorable are my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my tier 1s, Balance Kindness, Chase the Master, Dreamless Portal, Hyperlink, Jason, HK4K, Texture, Lord HiE, Nightingale, Macario, Pony Entertainment, Starlight Blaze, and Rain Flicker, and Tyler Perry. My tier 2s, Captain Blue Shadow, Chaotic Mist, The Anime Ghost, DGMX 2000, Elemental Wolf, H1 Wolf King, Potato 20, Mystic Crazy Deacon, Solar Comet, Mackenzie McColas, Nocturne, Papa Lennon, Redeemer of Dark Souls, Eclipse, Sword Brother and Mordred, Artie Bryant, Rihanna, Dragonwolf, and Steel Spark. My Titan tiers, my previous Titan tiers, thank you so much, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, Maverick, and User 1842. And a large thank you to my current ones, Biss Eclipse and Silent Titan. I appreciate your support so freaking much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.